The bathroom light's been out for a week, maybe two. I haven't called anyone to fix it. In this place, darkness feels like the default. I've learned to get by with the glow from the massive, flickering MOTEL sign outside the window, its cheap red light cutting through the dusty glass like a dull blade, slicing this moldy, despair-soaked room in two. One half is my curled-up body, the other is the stretched, warped shadow on the wall. Sometimes I stare at that shadow for a long time. It looks more complete than I do. The last cigarette but burned my fingers, snapping me out of it. I tossed it onto the filthy carpet and crushed it with my shoe. The cigarette pack's been crumpled and flattened over and over, now just a crumpled record of my restless anxiety. I tried tossing it toward the trash can in the corner, but my wrist was weak, and it traced a pathetic arc through the air, rolling under the bed. That dark space probably holds all my failed attempts and discarded dignity from the past few months. I don't want to look. My phone's at 3%, a glaring red warning. I don't dare, or need to, open the app that once made my heart race. That number's already burned into my retinas. Every time I close my tired eyes, seeking a moment's peace, that red, 7-digit figure with its cold minus sign floats up, glowing brighter than the neon outside, judging me over and over. Just 3 years ago, my life was in another dimension. On a night like this, I'd be in my study in our New York home. It wasn't just a room, it was my world. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined with hard covers, from classic philosophy to modern finance. I'll admit, I rarely had time to read them, but I loved being surrounded by knowledge, the smell of paper and ink making me feel like a substantial, cultured success, not just a machine crunching numbers. My wife, Clara, would bring me a cup of hot milk or her latest herbal tea blend at this hour. She was always perfect, never interrupting my thoughts, just placing the cup gently by my hand and slipping out like a breeze, closing the door. The drink was always the ideal temperature, warming me all the way to my stomach. Back then, my salary with bonuses and dividends topped $2 million a year. That money gave me clout and confidence in the elite, ambition-fueled world of Wall Street. As the head of data strategy at a top investment bank, my job was to use complex algorithms to predict and exploit the market's tiniest fluctuations, turning probabilities and risks into cold, hard profits. I was proud of it. My life, like the programs I wrote, was precise, efficient, and always trending upward. That money also let me buy Clara a high-rise apartment in Manhattan, with a balcony overlooking the Hudson River's stunning views and the twinkling lights of New Jersey across the water. Many nights, we'd just stand there together, the evening breeze carrying the river's damp scent. Clara would lean her head on my shoulder, murmuring in a dreamy voice, "Leo, this is perfect. Like a dream. Perfect." Now lying on this motel's stiff bed, those two words feel heavy enough to crush my entire soul. That was the world I lost. How does a fall begin? It's not like in the movies, where you slip and plummet into an abyss. No, the real process is crueler, like strolling through a seemingly safe marsh. Each step feels secure, the ground just a bit soft. You think you can turn back anytime. You keep walking until one moment, you realize the cold, sticky mud's up to your knees, and every struggle only pulls you deeper faster. My first step into that marsh was in Las Vegas. A company executive retreat, themed around relaxation and fun. Boring meetings by day, free time at night. Some higher-ups suggested hitting a casino. I'd always scoffed at those places. I was an elitist at heart, believing in intellect and logic. To me, gamblers were fools, ignorant of probability, driven by primal urges. My life, Leo's life, was built on precise models and rigorous logic, a deterministic world. That night, I walked into that glitzy casino with a condescending, almost anthropological curiosity. The air was thick with high-end perfume, Cuban cigar smoke, and the sickly sweet thrill of money burning fast. I watched the tense, shouting crowds at the tables with disdain. To play along and prove my intellectual superiority, I exchanged $2,000 for chips. I told myself it was just a ticket to observe human behavior, not to sink like them. I picked Baccarat, simple rules close to pure probability, where I thought I could spot patterns. Then I won. No fancy strategy, just cold intuition and quick odds calculations. In under 3 hours, my $2,000 turned into over $70,000 in cash. Back in my hotel's presidential suite, I didn't sleep. I dumped the casino-scented bills onto the plush bed and threw myself down beside them. Lying there, the room's crystal chandelier seemed to spin, break apart, and reform. I wasn't drunk. Alcohol couldn't do this. A feeling fiercer than any success I'd known gripped me. My heart pounded like a drum, not from closing a deal or cashing a bonus, but from a raw, primal thrill, like a high-voltage current shooting from my toes to my skull, making me tremble. Every dormant cell in my body woke up, every pore breathing greedily. Later, I learned this was called a dopamine storm. To me, it was something more intimate, being alive. Yes, alive. It wasn't until that night, after winning what wasn't even a fortune to me, that I felt truly, unreservedly alive. From that moment, the life I'd built over 20 years faded. Everything I'd valued, my intricate data models, my boardroom victories, turned dull and hollow. They weren't the goal anymore, just a means to fuel that electric feeling of being alive. I started living a secret double life. By day, in my pristine Manhattan office, I was still Leo, the polished, logical, $2 million a year data director, respected by colleagues, trusted by bosses. But at night, when Clara slept soundly in my arms, her breathing soft and steady, I'd slip out like a spy on a mission, easing my arm from under her, sneaking into my study and locking the door. That room became my battlefield. I'd fire up the computer and log into offshore gambling sites. The flashing red and green betting charts, the numbers jumping by the millisecond, became the only language I cared about. I justified it to myself. I wasn't gambling like those pathetic addicts. I was investing, leveraging my expertise in a high-risk, high-reward field. I built Excel spreadsheets to track every bet, searching for patterns and cycles. I applied financial risk models to this random game, smug about my professional approach. I told this lie so convincingly, I believed it myself. I started finding excuses to fly to Vegas often, important West Coast meetings, or visiting a Silicon Valley partner. Clara never doubted me. She didn't fully understand my work, but she trusted me completely. Before each trip, she'd pack my suitcase meticulously, ironing every shirt to perfection, matching ties and pocket squares flawlessly. Knowing I hated airplane food, she'd tuck a small bag of her homemade almond cookies, my favorite, into my briefcase. Once, in a Vegas hotel, I lost big, my mind a haze. I came back to find I'd left over $100,000 in winnings, and Clara's cookies, in the hotel safe. I called the hotel. They said it'd be a hassle to retrieve. I didn't care about the money, only how to shuffle funds to cover my losses. Clara noticed my exhaustion over the phone, but didn't pry. She just asked softly, "Did you eat the cookies? They didn't go bad, did they?" My heart felt like it was clamped in a rusty vise, the pain unbearable. I forced a light tone and lied. Ate them. They were amazing. From then on, the lies snowballed. I drained our joint savings, then my retirement account. I took out high-limit credit cards, robbing Peter to pay Paul. My finances were like a grand house, glamorous outside but eaten away by termites, ready to collapse. To everyone, including Clara, I still looked like a success. To win it all back, I made the decision that destroyed my life. I mortgaged our Hudson Riverview apartment, our home, the crystallization of our love and hard work, where Clara's jasmine flowers bloomed fragrant every summer. Alone at the bank, I forged her signature on the papers. As I finished the last stroke, my pen tore through the thick contract paper from the pressure of my guilt and nerves. Staring at that small, irreparable rip, I knew something precious between us had broken too. With that huge loan, I flew to Vegas again, telling myself this was my final stand, my destiny. Win, and I'd clear my debts, quit gambling, and be a good husband again. Lose. I couldn't think about it. I bet everything, my hopes, my future, my life, on that tiny table. I lost it all. In one brutal afternoon, I watched the dealer's rake sweep away the chips representing my home, my future. When the last chip was gone, the world went silent. No screaming, no tears, just an indescribable thirst, a bone-deep, soul-searing dryness. I drank glass after glass of free ice water at the bar, but nothing eased the burning void. I don't clearly remember when Clara found out. Maybe a bank collection call reached her, or she saw the court's foreclosure notice. I just recall coming home one day to find her sitting on the living room sofa, no lights on, shrouded in dusk. No warm dinner on the table, just a signed divorce agreement. She was eerily calm, no accusations, no tears. That calm broke me more than any outburst could. She looked at me for a long time, her eyes heavy with sadness and exhaustion I couldn't read. Finally, she said, "Leo, I'm out of strength. I can't hold on to someone who's determined to fall. I can't save you." The day she left, I didn't see her off. Like a coward, I stood alone on our balcony, watching her walk out with a small suitcase. A yellow cab stopped for her downstairs. She got in, and it melted into New York's evening traffic, vanishing like a drop in the ocean. From that day, the light in my world went out. The jasmine flowers on the balcony, untended, withered within a week. I lost my job too. The stress of debt and my unraveling mind led to critical mistakes, costing the company a major deal. On my last day, as I packed my things, no colleague approached me. They just watched from afar, their eyes mixing pity, scorn, and relief. Now, I sit in this nameless motel on the city's edge. The next room echoes with a couple shouting and a blaring TV. The carpet reeks of old mold, cheap disinfectant, and the lingering scent of countless failed lives. Amid this mess, my mind is clearer than ever. I finally understand. I was never addicted to winning money. Money was just a ticket to board the roller coaster to hell. What hooked me was the moment after placing a bet, those few seconds of pure silence before the cards flipped. In that pause, the noisy world stopped. Time stretched, your breath and heartbeat the only sounds in the universe. You weren't a husband, a data director, or a social role, just your raw self, a naked soul awaiting fate's verdict. You hung suspended, your next step either a stairway to paradise or a plunge into the abyss. That razor's edge thrill, dancing between creation and destruction, was addictive. To feel it again, I bet everything I had. Now I've lost it all, no home, no Clara, no career, not even a whole shadow to call my own. My phone screen flickered a few times and went black, its last 3% gone. The only light left is the motel sign's relentless red glow, shining silently on the peeling walls. Like an open, bleeding wound that will never heal.